What did you do with her? I didn't do anything. I don't know how she came into my room. No, Dad, he's lying. He forced himself on me. Are you out of your mind? How can you accuse me of such thing? Her condition is proof of your disgusting move. Kill them both. He has taken advantage of an innocent girl. He might do it to someone else. Kill him. I didn't do anything. You can have our DNA test. It will prove it. We don't believe any DNA. Either marry her or we'll kill you. Mrs. Kim's voice snapped him out of his reverie. What's wrong with you, Theo? What did you say? He shook his head, not forgetting to pass by the dead stare. I said sit while it's still standing. He nodded and sat while one stood beside Mrs. Kim's wheelchair. They were having a conversation when Wine's ears perked up hearing Esther's name. Esther is really excited to see you. She didn't even meet you when you returned from the trip of Wine's village. Ham looked at Wine, his gaze held anger and hurt. Wine pursed her lips and looked away. I was busy with this new project. I couldn't meet her. Mrs. Kim nodded with a smile. Whom couldn't you meet? Her cheerful voice grabbed their attention. Ham stood with a smile. Of course you. Esther hugged him. Ham didn't react until his eyes landed on Wine. His lips curled up into a smirk, and he embraced Esther in a tight hug. Wine clenched her fist and looked away, blinking her tears. Ham swiftly pulled out while Esther smiled widely, surprised by Tham's move as he never hugged her this way before. Tham cursed himself inwardly for some unknown reasons. Wine walked away while they got immersed in a conversation. After a few minutes, Wine came with tea for Mrs. Kim. She didn't spare a glance at Tham and Esther until Cassie's voice grabbed her attention. Wine, I brought you. He stopped saying to him. Hey, Hugh, when did you come? He said with surprise and hugged him. Just a while ago, he muttered dryly, glancing at the plastic bag full of ice cream and chocolates in his hand. Cassie greeted Mrs. Kim and Esther. You must be here to meet my bride. He nodded with a smile and went to Wine. I brought you a favorite ice cream and chocolates. He handed her the plastic bag. Wine's eyes shimmered. Thank you, she said with a beautiful smile. Cassian felt losing himself in her smile. Tham clenched his chest, shooting daggers at them. They got along well. Cassian comes to meet her every day. That's good. Wine wouldn't feel lonely here, right, Cassian? Cassian looked at her and nodded, running his fingers through his hair. You both look so cute together. Tham had a look. Her tone was filled with envy. Tham stood holding back his anger. I have to meet my friend's mom. I'll come at night, he said, the last sentence glaring at Wine, and walked out. At night, Tham didn't return home the whole day. Wine longed to see him, but he disappeared. Though it was past 12 a.m., she made her way to the kitchen to take out the ice cream from the fridge. She took out both chocolates and ice cream and placed them on the slab. She took the spoon and began eating the ice cream as she turned around, holding the chocolates that fell from her hand while she gasped, saying, Theo, what happened? Did I scare you? He said in a low tone, glaring at her. Yes, she muttered, bending over to pick up the spoon and chocolates. She stood straight and stepped backward. Theo snatched the ice cream and chocolates from her hands. I didn't know you could scoop so low. My bad. I forgot what type of a girl you are. He muttered furiously and threw them in the waste bin. What did you do, my ice cream? Wine's voice broke. Tham grabbed her elbow and pulled her closer. What's on your mind? Are you trying to pull the same stunt on my cousin that you pulled on me? He said through a clenched jaw. What are you saying? Why would I do it? She whispered with quivering lips. Why did you do that to me? For money? To come out from the village girl? You would have to rot there for the rest of your life. Flames were burning from his red eyes when she shook her head in denial. No, I did it because I love you. I know what I did was wrong, but I couldn't find any other way. You were leaving to never return. She said in a low tone, and hesitantly placed her hand on his cheek. Tears streamed you. Sam glanced at her and fixed his gaze on his phone. What will you wear tomorrow? I know you don't have a presentable dress. I do. Miss Estelle had given me a few of her dresses. I can wear one of them. Besides, no one is going to notice me. I will be fine, she said in a low tone, staring at her palms. But you'll stay by my side all the time, and it wouldn't be good if someone noticed Estelle's dress. I don't want anyone to look down on you. Mine bit her lips, drowning into the depth of embarrassment. If Mrs. Kim knew what she did to her son, she wouldn't be so good to her. It doesn't matter. Those are comfortable. I'm fine with it. I'm not convinced. I'll buy you a new one. But I don't want it, she said and handed her the medicines. Mrs. Kim just nodded while Wine walked away. Then stared at her retreating figure. After a few minutes, Wine came to her room and picked out the clothes Estelle had given her. She kept away two of the dresses as they were a bit too revealing for her. She picked the dark pink gown which came down her knees. She smiled, staring at it as Estelle had told her that Theo gifted her this dress on her birthday. She decided to wear it for Mrs. Kim's birthday party with her eyes later on the side of the dress which had a cut. Her face went gloomy just then the door opened, revealing Theo. He closed the door and came forward, glancing at the dress in her hand. Whose is this? He asked with a frown. Wine hiding behind her. Why? He moved closer to her. You wouldn't wear that tomorrow. Wine stepped back, seeing him coming forward. She bumped into the dressing table. Why? I like it. I'll wear it. He held her hands and snatched the dress from her. You won't wear Estelle's dress, he said and tore it apart and threw it. What did you do? She said with shock and picked up the dress. Isn't your love for her too deep? We gifted her this dress she wore. That's why you wouldn't let me wear this. Silently strode down her face. She held the dress close to her chest. It's not a big deal. Why are you shedding tears over an old dress? He moved closer to her and wiped her tears with his index finger. Save this for some other time. Your acting doesn't have any impact on me. She chuckled bitterly, shaking her head. You won't understand, Ishmael. Look at its perspective from my gaze. He passed her a questioning gaze. You bought it for her, that's why it means a lot to me. He stared at her for a while and took the dress from her. Give it to me, she tried to snatch it from him, but then held her arm and pulled her closer. You'll wear anything but Estelle's clothes. He left her with a jerk and walked out, taking all of Estelle's clothes. Next day, all the arrangements were made in the house. Wine didn't see Theo again as he was busy with work. Mrs. Kim bought a dress for her, but she didn't take it from her, saying she would be barely around during the party as she wasn't feeling well. Now all the guests had arrived, including Estelle's family. Wine helped Mrs. Kim and dragged her wheelchair into the living room. Theo came forward with a smile. Happy birthday, Mom, he said and kissed her on the cheek. Thank you. Wine stared at him as if he were the sole reason for her existence, the very breath in her lungs and the beating of her heart. Mrs. Kim's friends came and wished her, when one of them's eyes caught Wine. So, who is this beautiful girl? Everyone looked at Wine, making her confused. Theo raised his brows, staring at Mrs. Lee curiously. This is Wine, my caretaker. Four of the ladies compliment Wine. So, would you mind if I ask for her parents' contact? Theo frowned while Wine bit her lips, staring at her curiously. Why though? I mean, she's an orphan. No one was there to look after her, so Theo brought her here and gave her the job. Theo glanced at Wine while she looked away. I really like her for my son. Blood drained from Wine's face while Theo clenched his jaw. That's nice, you can ask Theo for that. So Theo, would you give Wine for my son? That'll make a great couple. Theo let out a deep breath and forced a smile. I'm sorry, Auntie, but Wine is too young to be committed. Besides, Mom needs her. I see, but whenever you want to see any proposal for her, come to me first. Theo gladly nodded. Estelle came towards Mrs. Kim and wished her. Everyone was curious when Estelle and Theo will get married. Wine walked to her room, leaving them as Estelle had you believe me over him after what I did to you? Theo looked away. Anyways, take off Cassian's coat. I'll return it once I change. He let out a sigh and took off his coat. Take mine. He passed it to her and looked away until she took off Cassian's coat. Once gaze landed on the dressing mirror, she stood and moved closer, staring at the red marks on her neck and face. All the incident flashed before her eyes. She scratched her neck and face wildly. What are you doing? He went to her and held her hands. Leave me. She tried to push him away. Stop it, look at me. He forced her to look at him. Wayne stared at him. What's wrong? It makes me disgusted. He let out a sigh and pulled her close to his chest. She cried hysterically on his chest. I deserved it, she said between sobs. Anyone doesn't deserve this. After a while she sniffed, snuggling into him. Then you know you are all love. You are meant to be loved. No one can ever hold back from loving you. He remained silent, muddled up in his thoughts. Go and change, he pulled out and said. Wayne nodded and walked into the washroom. Then sat on the bed when his eyes landed on the handkerchief placed on the nightstand along with the pen. He picked it up with a surprised look. He remembered he had given her this handkerchief when they first met and Wayne had scraped her knee while he gave her the pen when she was studying in the park. He placed them back and leaned on the bed. After some time, Wayne came out of the washroom and handed him his coat. He stared at her intensely and kept the coat aside while Wayne stood near the bed. What? Come and sleep, it's late. Aren't you going to your room? No, I'll stay here tonight. But what if someone sees you here? You talk too much, just come and sleep. He said annoyingly. Wayne hesitantly laid on the other side of the bed facing Theo while Theo laid straight facing the ceiling. Wayne stared at his side profile without blinking. I told you to sleep, not to stare at me. He spoke, glancing at her. This might be the first and last time I can see you this close, she said in a low tone. Theo remained silent, confused by his feelings. Few days later, Paul had disappeared while cops were looking for him. They took Wayne's statement and the two guys were sentenced to prison for assaulting Wayne and involved in human trafficking with Paul. Theo is cool with Wayne. They are both muddled up in their thoughts. He is confused with his feelings while Wayne is stuck up in the guilt of accusing Theo. Mrs. Kim thought she was still in shock, that's why she was gloomy and quiet all day. Now Wayne was standing on the balcony thinking about Mrs. Kim's conversation with Esther's mother as they were discussing Esther and Theo's wedding. Wayne stared at the sky when she heard Theo's voice. What are you doing here? He asked, placing his chin on her shoulder and holding her hand from behind. Wayne leaned onto him. I don't know how to apologize to you. I know what I have done is not forgivable. I can't live with this guilt anymore. I have lost my peace of mind, knowing or unknowingly. I have committed a sin, she said in a low tone. Then why did you do it? He tightened his grip around her. Because I love you. I didn't want you to stay away from me, she whispered. Theo remained silent. Wayne turned to face him. Your mom will fix your marriage date soon. Where will I go? She rested her hand on his cheek hesitantly. I don't know what to do. Neither can I reveal about our marriage, nor can I stop mom from fixing a date. I don't want to keep mom and Esther in the dark either, but I don't want them to feel betrayed. He moved away her hand from his face. Wayne bit her lips. Does that mean you divorce me? Theo stared at her. His mind was in a mess, not knowing what to do. He pulled her closer and hid his face in the crook of her neck. I don't know anything. I can't decide what should I do. I just need peace of mind for some time. He mumbled over her neck. Wayne tangled her fingers in his hair. Time skipped. In the following days, Theo decided that he couldn't leave Wayne, but he couldn't understand how he would reveal their relationship. Meanwhile, Wayne was on cloud 9 because of Theo's attention, even though it was just a little bit. She was happy with it. Now Wayne was sitting with Mrs. Kim and Esther's father entered, followed by Esther. So where is your son? Call him out. He ground, making them startled. Wayne swiftly stood. What happened, Raven? He paused when he just stared. For some reasons, Wayne's heartbeat raised wildly. He has been keeping us in the dark. He's already married, he said furiously. Mrs. Kim stared at him in disbelief. Wayne's heart dropped while, in the meantime, Theo entered the living room. What happened? Why are you shouting? dragged away her wheelchair, staring at him in disbelief. You like to meet him? You said she was just an orphan. You have no idea how badly you broke my heart with your lies. Tears rolled down her eyes as she moved towards mine. I treated you as a sister, but in return, what did you do? You snatched my fiancé from me. She grabbed her by the arm and silently cried. Cat caught your tongue, speak up. She cried, leaving her with a jerk. Come, Esther, let's go. I end all the ties with your family, so he held Esther's hand and dragged her. Then please don't do this to me, I love you. Dad, please. Raven dragged her out, ignoring her cries. Wine cried harder. She felt like a sinner. She broke 3 hearts and almost ruined 3 lives just because of her childish behavior. Mom, Mrs. Kim cut in. Shut up, don't call me Mom. I thought you would accept Esther all the time, but what did you do? You embarrassed me in front of her family. I'm her culprit. She yelled at him. Thane moved closer, but she raised her hand. Don't Thane, both of you get lost from my sight. She dragged away her wheelchair. Thane sat on his knees and began hitting the floor. When crouched to him and tried to hold his hand. I'm sorry. Move away, he growled, still punching the floor. You'll hurt yourself, stop it. She sobbed harder. Then get out of my life. Since the day you have entered my life, I can't even breathe peacefully. Wayne crawled back, trembling. I can't live without you, she barely whispered. Then go and die. I don't give a damn. Your hand, then go away from me. It concerns you so much. This is all because of you. He stood and walked towards his bedroom. Wayne sat and cried her eyes out until she came to a decision. She made her way out, wiping her face and glancing at the house for one last time. She ran away from the house aimlessly with tears streaming down her face. She didn't know where she was and how far she had come until she heard a car honk. As soon as she stopped in the middle of the road and turned her face in the direction of the honk, the sudden screech of tires filled the air. In an instant, the car collided with her, sending her crashing to the ground. The world seemed to spin as the impact vibrated through her body. Before closing her eyes, Wayne saw the smiling face of her late mother. A lone tear escaped her eyes and her breath stopped. Time skip. It was late at night when Thane came out of his room. He regretted lashing out at Wayne. He didn't mean anything he said. He looked in her room, but she wasn't there. He made his way to the living room where Mrs. Kim was talking to the maid. Here he is, go and make dinner for him, she said in a serious tone. He moved closer to her. Mom, are you still mad at me? I can bear anything but your sadness, he muttered, sitting in front of her. Mrs. Kim looked away. You have broken my heart. I'm sorry. She dragged her wheelchair but stopped as something clicked her mind. Where is your wife? She asked as she hadn't seen Wayne. I have been looking for her. Didn't you see her? Mrs. Kim shook her head in denial. Then stood with a frown and searched the whole house, but she was nowhere. Her things were there except the handkerchief and pen. He came back to the living room. She's nowhere, Mom. Could it be she left the house? Mrs. Kim passed him a confused glance. Why would she leave? Because I told her to. He mumbled anxiously, raking his fingers through his hair. She has nowhere to go. Where can she go? What did I do? He spoke anxiously. Calm down, she might be somewhere or call 𝐀𝐶. She might have gone there. Yeah, right, he said and pulled out his phone. He frowned, seeing several missed calls from 𝐀𝐶. Then dialed his number on the 4th bell. He answered the call. Where are you, Hyung? I have been calling you for so long, he said as soon as he answered the call. What happened? For some unknown reasons, his heart trembled. Hyung, I'm in the hospital. Wayne got into a horrible accident. What? How? Thane felt everything spinning around him. I don't know. I found her on the road, drenched in blood. Her condition is not good, Hyung. 𝐀𝐶's voice faded. Thane sat still, staring at an invisible point. What's wrong, Thane? What happened? He looked at her blankly. Wayne, Mom, she got into an accident. Time skip. It's been more than 10 days since Wayne's accident. Thane spent all the time in the hospital with her, but then 𝐀𝐶 sent him home. While on the same day, Wayne gained consciousness. 𝐀𝐶 told her he would call Thane, but Wayne pleaded with him not to call Thane. He asked him to send her somewhere Thane couldn't find I don't want to trouble him anymore. You don't know what I have done to him. Then tell me, I want to know how you got married, whining on the heaven and let out a sigh. I can't ever forgive myself for this. I accused him of assaulting me sexually. Jason stared at her with disbelief. My mom passed away giving birth to me. Everyone in the village told my dad that I was the next. I killed my mom. Over time, my dad began hating me so much that he would barely come home. My brother and sister somehow took care of me. I was too young when my brother went for a job to support our family financially. My sister was busy with the house chores all the time. Soon Dad fixed her marriage. I was left alone. I longed for my family's love and affection, but they were too busy to notice me. Dad never let me touch my mother's pictures. I would just stare at it from a distance. No one wanted to be friends with me. They would just bully me so I dropped my studies. Then one day I met the